Well, if you ask yourselves, what is with this video I released? Well, this is a special episode for the Leader Wrestle Zone. As you all know, I already released episode 923 that features Stardom's Day 2 of the Year End Tour, MLW, and Impact Wrestling. But I also did some news updates and new Nagi Sayaka Watch. But however, while in the process of doing all of that, there are certain things that came across me during the time before the end of that video recording and all that stuff. I decided to make a special episode to make up for what I couldn't do on that, to put on this. So I'm calling this DWZ special episode. So this is number one. We'll be talking about the recent press conference by Stardom. They have talked about a brand new tournament that was released, and of course several news updates that happen around the process, but I'll be doing that as well. If there's anything with Unagi Sayaka, I will also put it on that. As for the episode 924, that's a separate thing that hasn't started yet, but I want to get this one out of the way for all of you, because once I do this to the next episode, it'll be too late to talk about it. But I want to get this over with right now for all of you. So let's get started with the very first DWZ special episode. Welcome everybody to DWZ special episode. I am J Rod here. I'm here to talk about certain things I couldn't do on the recent episode, so I'll be doing it on this particular one. So this is our very first one we're gonna do of many. If I haven't done anything on the last episode, then I'll do it on this special episode for all of you. Now, we're gonna be talking about the recent press conference by Stardom. You may have heard or not that we're going to have a brand new tournament, a trios league to be exact, called the Triangle Derby. So basically, this is where the teams of threes will be competing. Now, I'm going to presume that this particular tournament will be for the artist belts. The artist belts are a trios championship, but there's certain things that may come into light that would make sense. I will explain a little bit about that. So this is how this is going to go. They're going to start in January, I believe, on this one, and it will proceed all the way to early March. 14 teams have been decided. They've been split in half for 7 teams each. Much like we always do, there's Triangle Red and Triangle Blue. So those are the blocks we're being focused. But let's go one by one. Who's in what block and what teams are involved. So let's start with that. So here's what we got for Triangle Red. We got H&M, consistent of members from Stars, Hanan, Momokogo, and Mayu Iwatani. Now this is a rather interesting development because, as you know, Mayu is the leader of Stars. These are the younger members of the star lineup, Hanan and Momo. So this is going to be a very interesting dynamic for this particular team. Next up is, of course, 3 of the strongest members in Queen's Quest, Utami Hayashida, Azumi, and Saya Kamitani. Now, like I did stated, they are one of the 3 strongest team members. If you guys remember clearly, these guys try to hang it together after Momo Watanabe actually betrayed them last year to join Oda Edo Tai. Next up, we got Cosmic Angels, Natsupoi and Tam Nakano, but a very surprising team up. They team up with the leader of colors, one of their allies, Saki. So this is the first time we're going to see the 2 leaders coexist along with Natsupoi. We know they have teamed up before, Tam and Saki, in the past. If you guys remember, it was back in July, and now they're going to be in the same tournament. Next up, we got members from DDM, consistent of Mai Sakurai, Tekla, and Julia. They're calling themselves the Body Bombers. Now, the reason for calling themselves that. Body Body means Furious Max Power. If you guys remember what happened at Showcase Volume 3, all three of them got blown up in a casket. So that would make a lot of sense. Then we have Unique Glare, which this one is consistent of members of Otatai and, of course, um, an outsider from another promotion. They have, of course, Ruka and Starlight Kid. They team up with Ruka Masaki. So it's kind of interesting, as you know, Masaki has become like a bit of an ally to Starlight Kid, and Starlight Kid has spoken highly of her, and that would make sense. So I don't know how Ruka would feel about her being in. I know when they first teamed up in a 8-person tag match back in New Blood, Ruka was not happy to have her around, but it seems maybe she's a bit of warming up to her. That's what I believe. And then there's, of course, the members from the Neo Stardom Army. We have Yuna Mizumori, Yu, and Nanane Takahashi. Together, they're calling themselves okay. Okay, our sixth team is members from the Neo Stardom Army. We have Yuna Mizumori, Yu, and Nanane Takahashi, together calling themselves Power, Passion, and Pineapple. It's kind of interesting. Now, you look at Yu, she has the power. Nanane Takahashi, the passion, and of course, the pineapple is Yuna Mizumori. It would make sense. Now, we do have one last team, but this team will not be announced until another later date. Now, let's talk a little bit about this particular team, because right now, speculations, assumptions, possibilities is being spread all over social media. There is a photo, a bit of a something like a picture that you can just see the figures. There is the possibility that we may see Unagi and Mina be the mystery team for this one. It would make sense because keep in mind, Mina, as you know, she is making her comeback on December 29th in Ryogoku for Dreams Queendom. That has always been. Unagi could be the possibility returning because, you know, deep down she felt guilty she wasn't there for Mina when she needed her. And that kind of sets in. But the third person, that's a different discussion. But we will talk about that right now so we can get that out of the way. There are two possibilities that fans are talking. One is Kairi. Now, I would say it's a good choice, but I don't see it happening. Keep in mind, Kairi is not affiliated with any faction, but she does have an association with certain people. Like, for example, she has an association with Tam Nakano and Natsupoi. So that would make an absolute sense. But the second person that people are making assumptions is none other than Sasha Banks, or as we know her now that maybe we'll see her use this name, Mercedes Vernado. This is a very interesting development. Now, some of you are saying, why would she team up with Mina and Unagi of the Cosmic Angels? Now, if you guys have been aware of it, there is a connection with Sasha Banks and Mina Shirakawa. I did posted a photo of them, but Scott E. Wrestling from Twitter, from Scott Edwards from Fightful Select, did talk about this before. He did say that he started this unsustained rumor that there is the possibility that Sasha Banks could be the newest member of the Cosmic Angels. Now, my original thought was, of course, I don't know if she was a good fit. But, however, I did think back about something about an article that Tam Nakano mentioned on Fightful Select. She said that she would like to have overseas talent to be part of the Cosmic Angels. And I think Sasha Banks is the perfect candidate. One, she is well known throughout the wrestling world of what she is, and she could boost up the momentum and, of course, the popularity of Cosmic Angels better than ever was before. That's my only assumption that could happen. But until then, until they announce this particular team on Triangle Red, we will find out soon enough. So let's just keep our hopes down. Let's just put a pin on that. Now let's move on to who is involved in the Blue Triangle. Now these are the teams involved. The 7 teams involved in the Triangle Blue. We have Arembo GE, which is the members of God's Eye. We have Suri, Mirai, Ami, Sode. Then we have the classmates, consistent of star members Azuki, Koguma, and Saya Ada. Now, you ask yourselves this obvious question. Why are they calling themselves? Well, I looked it up, and it turns out that the reason they call themselves is these guys were born around the age of, born the year of 91 and 92, and about almost the same age. So that would make sense. But if you guys remember completely, Koguma and Azuki, they were part of the same class together when they ended up on the Stardom Dojo system. Saya Ida was trained under Azuki, so that kind of makes perfect sense on that. So, interesting name. Now, here's an interesting team, or for our third team that we're going to be talking about. We have Mayhem with C, member with the combinations of members of DDM and one member of Queen's Quest. Of course, we have Micah and Himika teaming up with Lady C. This was rather unusual because if you guys remember completely, Micah used to give Lady C so much crap about how she could never pick up a good win or even the big matches. But we know she has picked up good wins here and there, but not the bigger ones. So, but if you guys remember completely, last year Lady C was having considerations of joining DDM, but due to the fact of what Julia did last year, whacking her in the back with some weapon, it made her reconsider her thoughts about joining. But Micah did stated a while back that she never wanted her to join. So I don't know what's the deal. But the obvious question is, we know that she did coexisted very well with Mai Sakurai during Tag League. But how will she coexist now with these two ladies? I remember Himika during the time when they teamed up before, they were considered calling themselves the Jumbo Trees because they're both tall as hell as well. But we'll just wait and see what happens then. Now our next team, this one is a very interesting one. We got the combination of the allies of Cosmic Angels and Colors. Waka Tsukiyama, Rina Amikura, and Yuko Sakurai. Together they're known as Lollipop. Yeah, you heard me right, Lollipop. This is a rather interesting one that I did not anticipate to hear, but I thought it was a very interesting name to hear. But I know many people are now thinking in the back of their heads, there is no chance in hell that they're going to pick up a win. Let's just keep that for the time being. Let's just hope they do and just pray that happens. Now we do get then we get members of Oedo Tai, consistent of Natsuko Tora, Momo Watanabe, and Saki Kashima. Now I'll talk about this a little bit later about them. So this is a really good team to know. Then we have Prominence, who are not present at the time. So we have only members Risa Sera, Zuzu Suzuki, and Hirage Kurume. And then finally we have Rebel X Enemy, consistent of Ram Kaicho, Maika Ozaki, and Mayuhiki. Now, however, during when they presented this particular team, Rebel X Enemy, now if you guys never heard of this, there's a backstory about this particular team. If you guys are new to the channel or new to Stardom or new to watching Yoshi Wrestling, however you guys are right now, Rebel X Enemy is a combination of two different people, all of that. The idea was that Mayuhiki was the star of Ice Ribbon until she turned her back on the company and the people that worshipped her, and she became an ally to the outsiders, the invaders. That means the freelancers like Rina Yamashita, Maika Ozaki, and Ram Kaicho. So together they became known as Rebel X Enemy. Now, this is the first time we see these three to get together, but however, someone is not happy with the idea that Mayuhiki is in Stardom participating in this tournament, and that person is Julia. Julia was like asking, what are you here for? And she's not happy. Now, some of you may question, I did look it up. It turns out there's some history between them, between Mayuhiki and Julia, dating back to Ice Ribbon. But this is my initial thought. I think we're seeing a similar situation like it happened months ago with Risa Sera and Sudi. Now, let me recap about that situation with them. when Prominence first arrived in early this year to Stardom, their initial mission is to destroy Julia. But however, when Sudi was still with DDM at the time, she had her focus on Risa Sera. Why is that? Risa Sera embarrassed Sudi when she challenged her for the Ice Infinity title, and that pretty much says it all. And from what I'm seeing with Julia and Mayuhiki, I am seeing the possibility we could see a similar feud going on. I'm going to presume that Mayuhiki also was challenged by Julia for that title back in Ice Ribbon, and Julia would do anything to make justice out of that particular timing. So it's a similar situation of that. And right now I'm hearing today on Twitter that from Scott Edwards from Fights Full Select, who believes that we may see the possibility if Julia wins the red belt, there's no telling that she will have a Mayuhiki challenger for the red belt to humiliate her like what she did to her back in Ice Ribbon. That is the train of thought that is being spread. So we're going to be seeing that some point. Now, before I proceed more on the schedule of the tournament, people are starting to talk about this. If this is a tournament possibly for the artist belts, why is the members of Oda Tai split? Now you have Starlight Kid, who's one of the current champions, teams up with Ruka and Aruka Umasaki. And then you got Momo and Saki teaming up with Natsuko Tora. There is the possibility that it's a chance that Oedo Tai could lose the belt in Ryogoku, and Prominence will take control of those belts. Now keep in mind, that particular match that will happen in Ryogoku, it was Oedo Tai who insisted that they have their match as a hardcore rules match, and hoping they believe that they could beat Prominence in their own game. Now Prominence doesn't need to challenge the belts in a hardcore match because we know how dangerous it can be, but it's Oedo Tai's funeral. So that's the assumption is being spread. But until we see or watch Ryogoku on December 29th, the Dreams Queendom, that's when we'll know. Now, as I mentioned before, this tournament starts on January 3rd. It will not end until till March 4th. So we have like almost 2 months, similar to what we had with what was it? With the 5-star Grand Prix. There will be one time we will have all matches with the Triangle Red, one time with Triangle Blue, and all this. But but someone also mentions this before. Unagi Sayaka is scheduled to wrestle on the 21st for a Diana show. But also that particular day is the same day when we have, of course, the one of the Triangle Red matches. And their possibility, if Unagi is involved in that particular mystery group, then she may have to pull a double header on this one. So it's still unclear on that. But we will find out soon enough once they announce the mystery team for the Triangle Red. And we'll see from there. So I think that's pretty much it what we have. So let's move on a little bit what's been on the news updates that I have not announced from the last episode. All right, here are some of the news updates that I did not mention on the last episode. As you know, we got more on Sasha Banks. As you know, a lot of talk about her. We don't know for sure if she's done with WWE and all that. It turns out that there's reports saying that Sasha negotiated her WWE departure. That would make absolute sense about that. It's still unclear when did this negotiation happen, but we do know that she may have a deal with New Japan to the appearance at Wrestle Kingdom 17 on January 4th. And also there is the potential talks about her with AEW. Now keep in mind, I know some of you WWE loyalists will not like this because you're probably saying to yourselves in your heads going, nope, no, J-Rod, she's not going to AEW because she's a WWE girl. I would agree with you, but think fast. Sasha Banks was doing more projects ever since she walked out than she couldn't do with WWE. AEW can allow her to do that. That's the difference that's been going on between both promotions. And that sort of thing goes out. Even recently, I just heard from Soraya, there are people that have been talking about AEW. Felt like, once their WWE's career is over, then they're fine at AEW. That's what they're seeing. So if that's the case, what's going on? We just gotta wait and see what happens then. Now, more on the Wrestling Revolver for the a night at the Moxbury. They announced that Billie Starkz will be making an appearance. Once again, we don't know who will be her opponent, but it's going to be interesting. Now, finally, some local going on here for the pro wrestling. Level Up has announced that Hunter Freeman. And now, if you guys ever seen him in GCW, they announced that they were no longer in association with them, so we don't know what's going on. They refuse to comment on that, but I have a feeling that I may hear some dark sides on this side or heat, whatever. I don't know, but I may not be able to put this because whatever it is, I want to keep this, not to stir things up. And then finally, there's been reports about Mikey Gordon that he posted out saying that he has been bailed out of jail after the domestic abuse with his wife. He was saying this and that, but now he's there's from what we're hearing by SoCal Uncensored that it's a lie. He's on probation, and now he's spreading lies saying that his wife lied, that she was the abuser. So it's a situation of he said she said. Now, if you guys don't know who Mikey Gordon is, espérate, Mikey Gordon is. He is in fact the promoter for Fist Combat here in San Diego. So we will find out more what's going on with him. So I think that's pretty much it what we have for our news update. So we'll call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this special episode of me talking about this press conference from Stardom. I know there's a lot that I put into this. A lot of talk about what I thought about the teams, the situations that could happen in the future with Mayuhiki and Julia, and of course our news updates that I did not mention on the last episode. Now, this particular episode, I will be doing more of this. If there's certain things I was unable to do on an episode that I already planned, I will do this as a special episode to make that up as we go along, because I feel there's a thing is this. The way I record new things on this channel, when I put out wrestling content for you guys, I already make a plan what I want. Like, for example, if we have Tuesday wrestling, at least I know there will be 3 shows I can watch and review. NWA Power, AEW Dark, and NXT. That has already been planned out. But if there's something I want to add, like a wrestling show I haven't seen yet, that maybe was a week or 2 away from it, I can do that. And that has always been my plan. But if there's something that I missed that I did not know about, I'll try to make it up on this type. So we'll be doing special episodes as we go along for the ride, but it will not be happening a whole lot. But this is just number 1 for everybody. So hopefully we'll be more of this, and I hope you guys like the intros and outro for this thing. It took me a while to figure out what the theme song I should use, so I'll say we'll just end it right here for everybody. So I'll see you guys on the next episode. So I must bid all of you adieu. So goodbye. Mwah. And have a nice day. Bang.